Podcast welcome casual hardcore is
You're just
illegal
saying-
forest in it.
You're just randomly reading the words.
Hello and welcome to the Hardcore Casual Podcast.
I've seen one of my kids yell terrorists win while playing in the garden.
Is that how they're harming the kids?
Are you serious?
Yeah, this
All
article
right,
has
dude.
it. I've seen one of my kids yell terrorists win while playing in the garden. Something picked up from watching me play Counter-Strike.
Hello and welcome to the Hardcore Casuals Podcast, the podcast for the working class geek that's too hardcore to be casual, but too casual to be hardcore. I'm Adrian.
I'm David.
I'm Danny.
I'm sorry, I'm on Reddit gaming right now, and there's a pro tip for Doom 2. Pro tip of how to defeat the cyber demon: shoot it until it dies. It's a good tip.
I'm reading that Wonder Woman was actually pretty good.
Yeah, I'm actually going to see it tomorrow.
I'm actually not going to see it, period.
Well, it's free. We got free tickets from WB, so
Even if it was free, I would still not go see it.
yeah, I'm going to just go see it because it's free, and then we could trash on it.
Let us know. Who knows? It may actually be good, and I'll still not see it.
Well, the quote I read was, "It is the best installment in the DC cinematic universe," which is not a difficult
Hard.
thing to do.
Yeah,
I
that's not
read
low
some.
bar.
Hold on. I thought this a little blasphemous, but I read some comparisons to Donner. I strongly doubt the movie is like that. Is comparable to Richard Donner. Period.
she's growing on me. She's kind of hot now.
Yeah,
I didn't think she was hot before, but now she's kind of hot.
She's always
Who,
been
Gal Gadot?
attractive, but the attractiveness doesn't mean that she can fill Diana Prince's shoes.
Sure it does.
She can't fill the shoes. She's like 3 feet smaller. No. I don't care how hot you are. You don't fit the role.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes.
She's hot.
Yeah,
That's all
she's
that
hot.
matters.
Gal Gadot is hot. We've all
Pro
known
tip.
this since Fast and the Furious.
What? Leaving Netflix on June 1st is D2 The Mighty Ducks. I'm going to have to cancel Netflix.
Actually, I was going to cancel Netflix once they got rid of Scrubs, and I can't binge Scrubs anymore.
I didn't know they
Don't you
lost
own the
Scrubs.
DVDs? That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, but I don't like. You got to install the DVD and you got to
Install the
switch
DVD?
it.
What install?
You have to open it, and then you got to take out the DVD, and then you got to press the button on the DVD player, it's too much work now.
It
Come
is
on.
a lot of work, isn't it?
Streaming has made me lazy.
Okay, so are video games harming your kids?
Are video games harming your children? David has the answer.
On tonight's episode,
Are video games harming your children?
Stay tuned for the surprising answer. It's not.
This is from a book called A Parent's Guide to Video Games from Dr. Rachel Cowart. I can guarantee you that Dr. Rachel Cowart doesn't even play fucking video games, and she's talking out of her ass.
Nah, the last thing she played was Pac-Man.
The Essential Guide to Understanding How Video Games Impact Your Child's Physical, Social, and Psychological Well-Being. Oh, God, I hate clueless people talking shit.
What did
why
she
do they
say?
even bother with this crap at this point? I mean, shit. They lost a war
Well-
with Mortal Kombat 1 back in 92. What the hell's the point? It's just been a
The
downhill
whole
battle
point
since then.
is that lazy parents do not want to take responsibility for what their kids do because they failed as parents. They want to blame something else.
Exactly.
Like, I grew
It's
up
not
playing
so much
video
failing
games.
as parents, but it's also not knowing what the fuck your kids are doing.
Yeah, well, that's failing as a parent.
So this
You know?
person is a research psychologist whose work is, I'm quoting Polygon here, is a research psychologist whose work is dedicated to the effects of games in society. Her previous works include 2 other books, and for the first chapter on addiction, she takes a dispassionate look at what the word actually means when divorced from buzzword status, giving note to the findings of her organizations like the American Psychiatric Association. I don't know. It's one of those things where if you're a psychologist, you can look at a lot of this kind of stuff and it might fit textbook reasoning, but it's just bad parenting. That's all it takes. Bad parenting causes fucked up kids.
Yeah.
Some kids can be born fucked up to begin with, but 9 times out of 10, it's just parenting.
It's the lack of nurture. It's the lack of nurture. Everything is nature versus nurture, or actually nature and nurture, and you can't do without either. So if you, it's kind of like Cable Guy. The freaking Jim Carrey's character was the babysitter, was the TV, because the mom was too busy trying to find a daddy or whatever, and so the guy grew up just watching TV and turns out to be a total nutcase. It's the same. It's the same
It seemed
thing.
pretty normal to me. I don't know about you guys.
You can play video games with a friend in Taiwan.
You can play Mortal Kombat with a friend in Taiwan.
Vietnam. There's no end to the possibilities.
Shit, I gotta rewatch that. That movie was classic.
It's funny, that movie gets a lot of smack, but I enjoyed Cable Guy. I thought it was good, and I liked that message, that little undertone message of, dude, pull your kids away from the TV and raise them.
The password is nibble.
That part's funny too. What context is the article talking about? Like, does it affect like their like, did we turns us into violent killers? What is it saying? What's the adverse effect?
On the question of on-screen violence and its potential to lead kids to act out, she presents various recent research reports that show little connection between the two and castigates some of the wackier attempts to discover some link. However, she notes that some studies have found short-term rises in mildly violent behavior among children immediately after playing violent video games.
It's called rage quitting.
I think it's frustration. They're mistaking kids or even adults playing games that just get frustrated. Just like in ordinary life, if you're set back with a series of roadblocks, you get frustrated and then you act out on that frustration. It's not that you're seeing a bunch of people shooting people in video games. You, especially particularly men, and that's something I think that also goes without saying when it comes to video games. A lot of the time, these violent people are using it as an outlet. Men typically are more violent than women. So
it's biological.
Yeah, it's biological. And the most violent of men are the ones that are like super jocked up on testosterone. And we play games like this where we're competing against others. These might be also people that aren't good at sports and never had that competitive ability. So they play games like this to feel that competitive sensation, to feel superior to others, and to get that urge of competition out of their system. These people see it as, oh wait, these people are just being completely violent and they're going to harm others. That might not be the case. It's just like a football player who goes and, well, it's not a good example, but a football player goes and tackles someone, but then he goes and he punches his fucking wife. But there's a lot of professional athletes that are already into this competition, and they all get super into the craziness of competing, but none of them are actually doing anything violent or witnessing anything violent in the sense of what video games are, where you're shooting people or doing fatalities in Mortal Kombat. None of that stuff is the same as in professional sports, but these athletes are all doing very much of the same behavior that they're complaining about these kids doing, where they get violent and they get frustrated and they start taking it out outside of the game. That just happens because when you're naturally competitive all the time, it seeps into other activities.
How many
and they're
controllers?
not seeing that.
How many controllers have we broken, David?
I've broken a shit ton of controllers.
I am an expert at putting together PS2 controllers.
I've almost broken my phone just playing Hearthstone. And that's a stupid card game. And the frustration level almost makes me want to throw my phone through a freaking airlock in outer space. I just want to launch it. And that's it.
Yeah, we've all had those rage quitting moments before. I remember one time I was playing Tetris of all games with an ex. This is years ago, and she actually started going on a crazy running streak, and I launched a controller through the bathroom into the wall. It freaked her out. Needless to say, we broke up shortly after. But
you guys typically are a lot less PvP than I am. I guess because I have more of an athletic background than both of you guys. So
what? Just because you have all these glistening pecs and
No, just
man,
dislike
it's-
PvP.
No, it's because I played a lot of sports when I was growing up. I did baseball, and Danny knows I did bowling because he bowled too. But I also
played sports too,
basketball.
growing up.
I did all kinds of organized sport. So I've always had that competitive edge in me. So when we play games, I
Did you
like to
ever
go
do-
online.
Did you ever do unorganized sports?
I have done unorganized sports.
Like there was no coach, no one to direct you. It was very unorganized.
It's just run home. Run home.
Just go. Wait, but what about the bat? No, forget the bat. Just go.
I think we did that all those nights we played football on Wednesday nights.
Oh,
That was
heck yeah.
unorganized.
That was the best. Playing football at night. Heck yeah.
But I think that's the difference. I spend a lot more time playing PvP type stuff than you guys do. Adrian, I know you do a lot of single player, and Danny plays PvP, but it's more at the behest of the rest of us. Like when we're like, hey, let's get online and let's do some PvP.
Not necessarily. If I like the PvP, like I liked Iron Banner, then I don't give a crap who's on, or if I'm alone, I will get on there and I'll rage. Like Iron Banner of old. When Iron Banner first came out, holy crap, I was on that 24/7.
But you have a particular type of online playing.
Particular set of online playing.
Yeah. It's that you're more the kind of person that wants to enjoy playing by themselves. Even if it's online, you enjoy the idea of being a one-man team, being a one-man
Lone
wrecking
wolf.
crew. Yeah. It's like the same reason why you like City of Villains, because you buffed your character to a point where it's like, oh, I could do all this shit solo.
Yeah,
I remember.
I
I
would
was
buff all
actually
my
thinking
squishies.
about that as you were talking about that. I was remembering the days where Danny and I were playing COV, and I would look to group up and do stuff with other people, and Danny would just like do his own shit.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And it's like Adrian played World of Warcraft and I played World of Warcraft, but I'm more of the person that I enjoy the team aspect of games, where you
Oh, me
play
too.
with a team and you try to overcome an obstacle as a team. I'm not one where I like to just go in and steamroll something by myself. I don't find that fun. That's why we differ in opinion when it comes to things like Mass Effect's multiplayer. Games like that where you enjoy just being a one-man team where the rest of your team doesn't really matter. You're just counting on them to do their own shit and not die. I more prefer teams where you really count on them to help you complete the objective, like in Destiny's raids.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
even in Left 4 Dead, where it was the perfect mesh of both of our styles.
Yeah,
That's why
exactly.
we both love Left 4 Dead so much, because
Yeah.
it's what I love about Left 4 Dead is the team aspect, but what you love about Left 4 Dead is that if you're good too, you can still complete the mission by yourself.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good mesh of the two systems.
You know
Which
what you're
is why they
reminding
need to
me
make
of?
fucking Left 4 Dead 3. What the fuck?
I know. Fuck this shit.
Oh dear.
Gabe Newell.
I was thinking about because I played this like religiously, and sometimes I'll still like try to log on.
The Legend of Zelda.
No, what? There's no multiplayer in Zelda. What the hell? No, Diablo 2.
Diablo 2 was good. That
I
was
hear
very
there's
bad.
still modders modding it.
Dude, yeah, Diablo 2 was freaking fun as hell, and I would
Like
freaking
Left
play
4
that with
Dead,
other people.
Diablo 2 is
Yeah.
a similar story, where it's one where if you're solo and you're really dedicated, you can make yourself a really good character where you can do everything by yourself.
But it was so much more fun with other people.
It's more fun with other people.
It
and
got
you get
more
together.
difficult.
Yeah,
Better loot,
more better.
More better.
more better improvement things
More better things loot is, I get.
and stuff.
Words.
But Diablo 3 kind of fell short of that mark, which is unfortunate. I don't know
Yeah,
what went
I
wrong
was,
with Diablo 3,
I was
but
disappointed with Diablo 3.
it just didn't feel the same. I don't know what it was.
Well, one of the big ones is just the graphics itself. They made it very cartoony, closer to WoW than it was to Diablo.
But
Diablo
what-
1 and Diablo 2, the sprites were a little more realistic.
It was grittier. It felt grittier.
Especially,
But
yeah.
the weird thing is, I don't know if you ever played Priston Tale, but Priston
No.
Tale was a Korean Diablo clone that was an MMO. And that game nailed the Diablo feeling. And it had those cutesy characters and all that bullshit, but it
Oh,
nailed
really?
the feeling of Diablo. And I still remember that game fondly because it was so much fun. Going and getting the loot and the ever escalating level cap, and then the different dungeons when you had the higher level cap. It hit Diablo 2 perfectly, except the grittiness because it was cartoony. But
Yeah.
I don't know, there's just something about Diablo 3 where I feel like they went to World of Warcraft in
Yeah.
their execution. And they forgot what made Diablo 2 so special.
Yeah, but you can't blame them. I mean, that was at the peak of WoW, and WoW was at the zenith, and that's what all Blizzard was doing. So they were trying to capitalize off of that. Like, hey, it's Diablo, but it's kind of like WoW. But as you mentioned, the whole point of Diablo was that dark grittiness. That it was different than World of Warcraft, and I think that's what you and I were looking for. And although the game was fun for a couple of playthroughs, but it didn't hit home and it didn't capture me like the first two. I mean, I'll still play Diablo 1 for fun.
Diablo 1 was an interesting experience. But Diablo 3, they like have all these seasons all the time, and I've gone back for maybe one season here, one season there, but I never make it to the end. It's like I just play it and I go, yeah, this just isn't Diablo 2.
Yeah,
I have a friend who religiously plays it. Religiously. Like, she gets her warrior and she fucking goes in there and she puts it on like torrent, whatever, infinity, and just wrecks it. And I'm like, how in the hell can you play this game so much? And it's just grindy as hell. Like, you see her, you watch, because she used to power level some of my characters, and I'd be like, dude, this is boring as hell. There's no way. This is the reason why I stopped.
What was cool about Diablo 2 is that there was that, what was it, the Philosopher's Stone or something like that? There was like one super rare item that if you got it, you could sell it on eBay because people wanted that item so badly.
Yeah.
So that was something cool. There was like these little mystical things that you can try to fight for and get.
I think that was the reason why
super rare armor sets, like the really like that was a thing. You really had to grind to get somewhere, and there were item sets that were so freaking rare. I mean, you don't see that type of rarity in modern games, where you would have to play hundreds of hours just to get like one item of the set, and then everybody's clamoring for it when it drops. So I mean, it was just like there was a reward for all the grinding you were doing. You felt like you were going towards something, even though you were just doing the same thing over and over again.
The auction house was so corrupt that Blizzard's like, all right, gone. And they removed it from Diablo 3 completely.
Oh, I was gonna say there was no auction house in Diablo 2.
No, 3. No, in 3 they removed it completely because everyone was just manipulating the crap out of it and just throwing off the currency balances and whatnot.
Oh man,
yeah, because they were trying to avoid it. They were trying to avoid the eBay thing of Diablo 2. I almost said Destiny 2.
Yeah. Destiny 2.
You just totally took me back. I remember back when I used to play Final Fantasy 11 online, and the auction house is there, and how people would corner that market and totally manipulate it. And like, oh my, that's the reason why I had to stop playing the game, because I would grind to get enough money to buy like this, sword for my paladin, and when I checked it 2 days ago, the price was a reasonable price. Then all these manipulators got a hold of it and cornered the item, and then it's like 2 million gil or more. It's like, oh, fuck it.
Yeah,
that was the fun. That was the fun of the game that I'm telling you about. This game, Priston Tale, the Korean one, that it had self-people shops. So like you can set up a shop and just leave your character there idle in the main town with all of the items that you're selling, and then people would go up to you and buy it off of you while you're AFK. It wasn't an auction house, but you were basically a store in the town. And I felt like that was a really great usage of, hey, you go out looting shit and doing these dungeons, you come back with all this equipment, now you try to sell it. Mm-hmm. And then whoever visits your store and likes it, they go and they buy it. So I would leave my account online to do that, and I would wake up in the morning and be like, holy fuck, I just made 10 million gold. And it was sweet. That game was a lot of fun.
That's cool. Man, Final Fantasy 14 did the same thing. Actually, in the first one, before they did A Realm Reborn, you did that. You had somebody a retainer, and there'll be like markets, and you'd have your retainer there with all the items you left them to sell while you go out, keep adventuring, or sign off and go AFK or whatever. And then they improved upon it to the point where you don't have to go to the market. They're just kind of there all the time, and the market's like now digital. You just go to the board and everybody's retainers are there, and But that improvement, like versus like the economy in Final Fantasy 11, was a lot better.
I just don't like all this pulled stuff, because even in World of Warcraft, the auction house was a good idea and it functioned well to maintain the market, but I like the idea of every player being their own store. So like if you're a player and you decide to stand in the middle of the ghetto of some crazy, I don't know, I just got something here that's bothering me.
Oh, that was me.
I just got a message and I wasn't sure what it was.
That was me.
But you can go out into the middle of like a old dungeon or forest or something, just set up your shop there. And then it could become like a message amongst players where it's like, oh my god, did you ever check out that store of that one guy who's playing and he loots the entire area and he sets up a store over there? Check him out. You might find some good equipment. It adds more lore when the players are being their own lore. You know what I mean? I feel like that's a lot more fun when you can do that kind of stuff, and it's not all just, oh, let me just sort the auction house by price and see what's the cheapest thing, where everybody's just pulling their stuff in there. It just feels weak. I don't like it as much.
It gets cluttery too.
Where is this? It says Skype.
Yeah, it's Smash Brothers Flash game gets a huge update.
Oh, God.
Didn't even know this was a thing.
Continue.
Well,
Take it
I'm
home.
disappointed in the both of you because last time we recorded, we all talked about how excited we were about the Alien movie, and it's been out now for almost 2 weeks, and none of you have seen it. I'm the only one who has.
I didn't even know
I've-
it was out until you mentioned that you had seen it. I want to
I've
see
been
it.
out
I
of
still
town.
want to see it, but yeah, David was out of town. I keep forgetting.
How did you forget to see it? What was the last movie you saw?
Guardians.
At the theater.
Guardians
okay.
2.
Did you see it after we talked about it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I saw it
after we talked about it.
the week after, and it was, oh, man, that movie was great. I loved
What did
it.
you think?
I thought it was great. I loved it. I think it was on par with 2, and I understand why
It
people
was
say,
on par with itself?
Yeah, it was. It was on par with itself. Yeah. No, it was on par with 1, and I had a lot of fun. Whatever the whole chemistry between him and Kurt Russell, all that stuff was pretty cool.
I still prefer the first one over the second one, but the second one's still great. Especially the I loved most of the Drax lines.
Yeah.
Drax was great.
Drax is
And,
awesome, yeah.
Remember, no spoilers.
I'm not saying anything. I'm just
No,
saying
no,
Drax
yeah.
was great.
Yeah, Drax had a lot of good lines in this one.
Freaking side-splitting great lines, and he delivers it so well.
Yeah, he was pretty on point. Good old Dave Bautista. Everyone dies! Spoilers!
That's it. That's the end of the MCU. It's done.
This is the end of the Guardians in the MCU.
Well, okay, I'm not going to go into total spoilers, but this is a conversation I kind of wanted to. I started having with David earlier.
Topic of our podcast.
Okay, so again, Alien Covenant's out, and this got me thinking of. I watched Alien Covenant, and then of course I went back home and rewatched the first Alien, which is again one of my favorite horror movies. Probably one of the disadvantages of modern movie making now, especially when you're trying to do a horror story, is the use of CGI versus practical effects. One of the things that made Alien so good is because you had a guy in a suit there and all these little animatronic puppets or whatever that people could interact with. And nowadays you have these, really good special effects, but something gets lost in translation, whether an actor is reacting to something on a green screen, or even the CGI itself just seems a little out of place. For me, it tears me away from that experience.
How was the balance between CGI and practical effects?
There really wasn't any, especially when you were talking about the aliens. They were all CGI, which I thought was a very, very poor move, especially when you're trying to, again, do a horror movie. It's just got to be something real, something there. And all the aliens in Covenant are CGI, and not even the best. Like I really wish you guys would have seen it, because like when they start showing them, like the first one, it's just like, what am I looking at? I started rewatching the other series, and the CGI level quality of one of like the first few aliens you see looks exactly the same as they did in Alien 3, where they first started using CGI in that movie series, which Alien 3 did it better because they combined the use of practical effects with CGI. Like if there was going to be a close-up shot, they had that infamous scene where he has Ripley pinned up against the wall, and the alien comes, and you see its head, and it does the little and sticks out its thing, and then leaves her alone. Mm-hmm. That was a practical effect, and that's an iconic movie moment. Almost everybody knows that scene, or has seen it, or has seen something referencing or poking fun of it, or whatever.
Right. Yeah.
You don't get that when you do CGI. Like another one, if you want, getting off topic of Alien, would be the Lord of the Ring and Hobbit movies. You watch the Lord of the Ring movies, and yeah, there's CGI in it, but a lot of it is practical effects. It's practical, just people in suits, models, props. being used, and it makes the movie more realistic. While when you watch the Hobbit movies, it's almost all CGI, and it totally looks and feels different. I don't know. What do you guys think about CGI versus practical?
If it's done right, then I'm fine with it. But if it's not, then no. Then because you see a lot of times in movies where they do the mashup and it works, and sometimes they do the whole thing CGI and it doesn't work for crap. It all looks like garbage, and the animation looks like off. It looks like it doesn't belong there and whatnot. And then other times you have it where it's full practical, where they have the animatronics, you have the guys in the suits and all that stuff, and it actually looks really well. So it's a really tough call, because it all just depends on the studio and how well they're doing with their CGI.
Yeah, you like, for example, what we were just talking about was like Guardians 2. Now that's all special effects. They don't have a guy in a raccoon suit, or a guy in a Groot suit or whatever. I mean, that's all
actually
done.
Bradley Cooper in a raccoon suit that small.
See, that's not the case, but yet in the context it works. In Alien specifically, with Alien Covenant, the context calls for that alien to be there, and when you see that it is, just that the way that the hue is different, that you can tell that it is a special effect and not something there like it was in the original movie. It just for me just misses a mark. And now there's a lot more things we could talk about Covenant, but you guys haven't seen it, so we can't really discuss it. But yeah, it saddens me as a lover of movie and films, especially when you go into the genres of like horror and sci-fi, seeing less and less actual props and practical effects and all this CGI stuff, where it could actually detract from the movie or the story. Did you find it, David?
I think he's looking for it. He's looking really hard.
I forgot you can see me.
All right, so for those of you who can't see, David, this whole time, as I'm going on about practical effects and CGI, is staring intently into his whiskey glass. He's like really intensely looking into his glass.
I'm seeking help.
Not drinking from it, just looking at it.
You keep looking, David, you'll find the help you're looking for.
It's like, as you guys are talking about Alien Covenant, I'm reading an article about ketosis, and then I'm staring into my whiskey glass.
Wait, ketosis, like the diet?
Yeah. It's really funny.
What's so funny about it? You can lose weight by eating fat.
No, well, it's like I just find it funny that everyone's talking about this whole diet, and then I'm staring at my whiskey glass, and I'm like, this isn't.
This is not keto friendly.
But yeah, to what you were saying, I kind of agree. I like practical effects, and I feel like they've been lost in translation because so many people are quick to go CG all the way. And it just reminds me of this leaked footage that came out for Justice League. I don't know if it was for Justice League or for an Aquaman standalone movie, but there's a scene with Aquaman underwater doing his thing in Atlantis. And it just looks so freaking hokey. And I'm sure they're going to work on it to make it look better, but CG never lasts when you go back and watch it again. You might think it looks great at the time, but you go back and it never holds up. You're just like,
I've got one movie where that is wrong, because it still holds up.
Which movie still holds up? Terminator 2.
Jurassic Park.
Jurassic Park is actually a lot of practical effects too.
Yeah.
He's
talking about
example I mentioned
the T-Rex scenes, and
where they combine it. They combine. Oh, and actually, you know what? Now that we're talking about Jurassic Park, another point. But yeah, they combine CGI with practical effects.
Yeah.
And here's another pro. Here's another pro to the use of practical effects, because sometimes things happen with that practical effect that you're not expecting. For example, in Jurassic Park, one of the iconic scenes is when the T-Rex breaks through the glass on top of the Jeep and pins down the kids in there. Mm-hmm. That wasn't supposed to happen. That was a mistake. So that reaction that those kids had to the T-Rex breaking into the car was genuine. You can't do that with CGI. Everything is planned. Everything is scripted. Everything is, you know what's going to happen. But here you had a malfunction where there was too much pressure being put on the T-Rex's head. It broke through the glass. The kids instinctively put up their arms and legs and start screaming to high heaven. And you got an amazing shot.
Nice. That's awesome.
A lot of
stuff
people don't
like
know
that. I love stuff like that. I like those kinds of mistakes, so long as everyone's okay. Because Actually, it's funnier when people get hurt. But but no, yeah, stuff like that is
These are
awesome
children we're
because you have
talking
the
about.
yeah, you have the realism of what's currently happening being thoroughly expressed through their fear, the legitimate
because
fear in their eyes.
Yeah, because it really happened.
Yeah.
Or going back to Alien, the original Alien, the chestburster scene. They didn't know that it was going to be that gory, that bloody, that messy. They knew what the alien was going to look like. They knew it was going to come out of the chest, but that's all they knew. They basically kept them in the dark as far as the details. So then when that thing makes its bloody entrance and the blood literally splatters all over the wall and you see this guy's guts and everything, and they react horrified and disgusted, that was their genuine reaction because they weren't being told what was going on. And again, this is where the beauty of practical effects and filmmaking comes in, because again, you get those genuine shots and it just pulls you more into the story. It makes it more believable. And I really think, I mean, is it nowadays, is it that much more expensive to do practical versus CGI and paying all these people to work hundreds of hours to make all these special effects? Because you look through the credits now in movies and you go to the special effects thing and it's like 5 minutes worth of names and like two font,
like wall-to-wall text of names.
Yeah, the whole screen turns white.
The dirty secret about that is that studios no longer pay people what they're supposed to be owed for that kind of work. What happens is that they get different post houses to bid against each other for the work, and then they start doing the work. And when they get through a portion of the work, the studio says, well, actually, we're going to give you this much money. And it's like, abandon ship or stay the course and get it done and get your check at the end. Because they might be undercutting by a shit ton. So it's kind of like what happened to Rhythm and Hughes. Rhythm and Hughes was working on things like Life of Pi and all these massive companies, and they basically had to shut down. They had to downsize and close shop and reopen with a skeleton crew because they lost so much money from studios making them take these contracts for peanuts when they had all of these people working on things that should cost a lot more. But the studios are getting used to the fact that more and more people have graphics expertise and they can get things done in India and overseas for a lot cheaper. So it's killing a lot of these in-house or in-country post-production companies. It's not the same as what you're thinking of when it actually requires you to create practical effects, where you have to pay these people and you have to pay for the equipment and you have to pay for the things, when you have a post house that's dedicated to doing it by themselves and they have other contracts in the pipeline where they can say, we might offset the cost of doing Star Wars effects with the cost of doing these commercial effects, and then everything balances out for them, hopefully. Whereas with practical effects, you're basically renting that team to do this shit full time because they can't work on, well, they can kind of work on other stuff at the same time, but usually they're tied to the project that they're working on 100%.
Yeah. And then as you were speaking, I was also thinking, like, God forbid you're doing a scene using all practical effects and something goes wrong. Well, then you're paying all these people extra until you get the shot right. Whereas when you're doing CGI, you can just tweak it here and there, and that's it. You don't need to retake and reshoot and reshoot.
Yeah, it's a lot different when it comes to CGI, and they figure that, oh, we fix it in post. That's the common misconception. Mm-hmm. Everything can be fixed in post.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
They don't worry about a lot of the stuff that most production companies should be worrying about, because they just know, oh, whoever's taking it on the back end will take care of whatever inconsistencies there are. So when it comes to CG and effects like that, they just figure, why bother with practical where the shot might not come out great when we can just handle everything in effects, and if we need to tweak something, lighting, put in an extra character or do whatever, they'll just do it on the back end.
Yeah, but then again, it just takes you out of the movie. Like, what's this other one that's coming out now? 47 Meters Down. It's a shark movie, which, I mean, I'm sure we all are fans of Jaws, right?
Sharknado.
We're fans of Sharknado.
Really, I hate that movie.
No, I've never seen it. I never cared to watch it.
Oh, yeah. I actually tried, and that's why I'm dumber now than I used to be. But
that's the reason why.
Like Jaws, you guys, what do you guys think about Jaws?
Excellent.
It's interesting how Steven Spielberg was able to pull that movie off with the shortcoming, like the what's the word for it? Like the handicaps he had when making the movie. That's the part that's most amazing. That he had the
kept
shark,
breaking down.
and the shark broke down, and he had to do all the opening sequences and all the sequences of the film. Well, the early parts of the film and mid parts of the film without a shark. And just to think about
But
having
that
your main,
worked.
yeah, you have your main break as a director, and you face the biggest catastrophe a director could face, which is the main villain of your movie doesn't work. We can't show this thing on film. It's amazing that the movie works at all. So I've always been a firm believer that the more constraints you give people, the more in a box you put them, the more likely they're going to figure out something outside of the box to resolve the issue. I feel like the more money you throw at movies and the more money you throw at projects, the more cookie cutter it becomes, because they're not thinking about how can we make this unique? How can we make this special? How can we make this function on a level that no one else has seen before? And that's where films are today. Production companies and studios are just like, here's $200 million. Let's just make this movie happen. Whereas if you told them, here's $5 million, make it work, like Deadpool. And guess what happened with Deadpool? It was a huge success because they had to figure it out. And that's when things become the most successful, when you make people figure it out on more constrained circumstances.
Right. Yeah,
That's a long-winded version of why I think Jaws is good.
Yeah. Because the point I was going to get to was the use of, as bad as, because, I mean, no one will tell you right now that Bruce the shark, that's the name they gave the shark, looked like a real shark. No, but it was a real thing. It was there. You saw it. You could touch it. You could react to it, and we were all scared to death of it because we saw it eat Quint and we saw it do all these things. Whereas when you watch, what was that one with Blake Lively, the Bay or whatever the heck, and she's cornered by that big CGI shark.
I look at the one with,
because it looks so fake. Like it just wasn't there.
SLJ, the one with SLJ,
Deep Blue Sea.
yeah.
Deep Blue Sea. Yeah.
Deep Blue Sea. There you go.
Like, the only time there was a real shark in there was that one scene where they're working on it, but the rest, I mean, it doesn't. I didn't care. I didn't.
Yeah,
care
when it comes out of the
I
water,
knew that wasn't a
eats
real
him.
shark.
when it eats him, or when even all the underwater scenes where they're battling it and stuff, it just doesn't feel. It doesn't feel right. You're just like, oh, whatever. It's like Yoda in the newest. Not the newest ones anymore, but the prequels, where
1,
he's
2,
all
and 3.
CG.
Yeah.
It just doesn't feel the same.
Yeah, no,
Even though he
still
looks
had to
super
see-
hokey in the originals.
Yeah, but still, he was there, and it moved
Yeah.
its mouth, and it talked to you, and Luke was talking to it, and it just, again, it's something real you react to.
Something tangible.
Yeah, just like when you're a little kid and someone's playing with, and someone's entertaining with a little puppet. Like, yeah, it's not a real thing, but there it is. But yeah, because the thing is, the concept for that movie, 47 meters down, like they're cage diving, the rope breaks, and now you got these two unexperienced divers stuck under the water, surrounded by sharks. That's actually an interesting. That's a new concept for a shark movie.
Oh, is that what it's about? I thought it was about like the length of my penis.
Dang the parts.
I thought you were around 50.
47 meters down. You didn't measure long enough.
And then so I'm watching the preview for it. I'm like, oh, that's a cool concept. And then I see all these CGI great whites, and that's the thing. It's not one great white. There's like 80 of them. And it's kind of like,
They blot out the sun.
our sharks will blot out the sun, and we will dive in the shade.
Yeah, that's like the other day on the news. The guy that was there paddleboarding in the middle of the Pacific.
Oh
and they're
my
like,
God.
We don't mean
You
to
saw
alarm
that?
you, but you have 15 great white sharks swimming around you. At that moment, I'm like, oh shit.
Did you see the video of the kayaker who got knocked off and his attacked by a great white? And the great white was too busy attacking the kayak. The guy was able to swim to safety.
Oh
and
my
got picked up
god,
by a
I
boat.
can't even imagine the horror. in
Yeah,
that
seriously,
situation.
that's insane.
Dude, he's like in his kayak, thing bumps him off, starts going, and like there's a guy from like his hotel room recording this whole thing. He's like, honey, call the police or whatever, like, because they're gonna stop the shark,
Call the ambulance.
Put your fins up. But I can't imagine that type of horror, and now we're not talking about movies anymore, but whatever. You made me think about that.
That's crazy. I saw one where
shit my
I think it was a streamer decides to go to do one of those shark cages thing, and she ended up getting nipped, I
Eaten.
think, or bitten. One of those two. Anyway, she had to get out of the cage like fast, and her ankle was just profusely bleeding, and she was screaming and crap.
Oh, the Playboy model.
Was it a Playboy model? No, it was. I thought it was a
Yeah.
streamer.
To you, everyone's a streamer. No, it was a Playboy model, and she got nipped by a shark. Yeah, I remember reading about that.
Yeah, it was one of those. Somebody in media jumped in there and, oh yeah, it's gonna be great. And then she goes and gets her ankle nipped. Was it? It was cut. and
It
looked deep.
it happens. There was another guy in Australia. A great white jumped into his boat, just like out of Jaws, just like jumps right in it. It's like, hello, plump.
Well, you know what that means, right?
What?
I think he needs a bigger boat.
This concludes our podcast day.
movie.
Oh god.
Oh no, I'm sad. My vodka's gone.
Yeah, I know my whiskey's gone. I think that means we have to wrap it up.
Okay.
Wonder Woman director wants fans to let the heroine be her sexy self.
And who was saying that we do not want her to be her sexy self. We want her to be an unsexy someone else.
Yeah, exactly.
I would rather
Where
have
is-
China.
Where did that come from? No, I mean, what did that come from?
Words.
What,
That's comicbook.com.
well, I'm gonna be watching it tomorrow. You guys watch something that I've watched so we could talk about it, huh?
Sure. Give me the money.
I've watched Spaceballs.
Well, everybody has seen Spaceballs.
Not
Did you
everybody.
guys, actually, here's actually Maria and I watched a movie recently, last 2 weeks. I'm not sure if you guys did. With McAvoy, Split. Did you guys watch that?
Yes.
I do want to
Oh,
see that, but I
yes.
haven't seen it yet.
Yes,
Dude,
yes,
that
yes.
was a really well done, and
Yes,
his
sir.
acting.
He's really
did-
good.
Oh my no! But
yeah.
like, if you want to see how versatile and what his breadth is, like, he could really do a lot of characters.
He's a
Like,
good
and
actor.
He did a
I really
really,
like
really
James
good
McAvoy.
job playing all
He's a
these
great
different
actor.
personalities and stuff. It was really well done.
Each one was believable.
Yeah.
I mean, like
It's just M. Night Shyamalan. The end of the movie is that James McAvoy is allergic to water, right? That's,
no. I gotta say, Shamalama Ding Dong.
He did
redeemed himself.
Yeah,
James
he did
McAvoy's
it-
dead
but-
at the end.
But no, he did.
He's
a
been
really,
dead the whole time.
I don't want to give you the spoilers, but
He did a really
this is
good
probably
job.
his best film since The Sixth Sense, and if anything, I'll probably say it's better.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. No. This
Overall,
was
as an
really
overall
good.
film.
This is really, and there's a reason for that.
Because of McAvoy's acting.
Yeah, because of McAvoy's. No, but there's a
McAvoy's
reason
No,
for
and
really
that
that.
good.
young girl, the main girl, what was her name?
The girl
She was
from
good too
the
for,
girl from The
for-
Witch. I'm
The
pretty sure she's
Witch.
from The Witch.
Was
Yeah,
she?
from the Vivitch. Yeah,
The
from-
Vitch?
yeah.
Okay.
There's
Vivitch.
there's two V's and they form a W. See, look, two V's. If you go like this,
I see.
it's a W now.
Oh my god!
Holy crap! I don't
blown.
believe this.
Yeah, she does a really good job being like her character, and you get a little background on her as the story progresses.
yeah.
But what is
Hey, he's lagging.
yeah? Because right now I just see him frozen with his arms in the air and
He's
a gay
frozen,
smile.
smiling. Yeah.
This is interesting to watch. I'm sorry I'm being quiet, but I like watching David's lag catch up. now he's frozen. He looks like he's doing a quinceañera pose.
Oh, we lost the feed.
Oh, we lost him.
There he is.
There, welcome back.
It's I closed. I turned off the camera and I turned it back on.
Oh, you did a crafty.
Yeah, I went off to the corner in between matches.
But M. Night Shyamalan did a great job with the pacing and with the story. But that movie would not have done nearly as well if it wasn't for McAvoy.
Speaking of
No,
stuff,
really
no doubt.
delivered it.
speaking of stuff that you guys should watch if you haven't watched it yet, 13 Reasons.
For 13 reasons for what?
Watch it.
13
13
reasons to watch
reason-
what?
13 Raisins? Like
13 Reasons Why.
Is that a
on
horror movie? Like I bought a box of Raisin Bran and fuckers
Well,
only gave me 13
13
raisins.
Reasons Why on Netflix. 13 Reasons Why.
Is
Watch
this a
that
TV
shit.
show or a movie?
Oh, is that the suicide one?
It's the
That's getting a lot
suicide
of-
one. It's the
Getting a
suicide
lot of
one.
Is it? Oh.
You know,
I'll-
That
they say like,
show,
oh, it promotes suicide.
that show is so fucking good. So fucking good.
Why?
You have to watch it.
Why?
You have to watch it to find the 13 reasons why it's so good.
What if I end up killing myself because of it?
You're not going to kill yourself because of it. I guarantee you. Thanks for joining us. This has been the Hardcore Casuals Podcast. We're three childhood friends whose motto is just good enough. We're hardcore about a variety of topics, but too casual to be experts at any of them. Be sure to join us next time on this journey of mediocrity. I'm David.
I'm Adrian.
I'm Danny.
We're three childhood friends whose motto is just good enough. I forgot what the rest of this is. I love the tongue action. It made me happy on the parts. Until next time.
Capping guess.
That's it. We're done.
I'm David.